I'm getting ready to go watch episode 9 of the Amazing Digital Circus because I had to wait for it to come out on YouTube. I couldn't afford to go see it in theaters, especially since there's a bunch of other stuff me and my wife are wanting to go see this summer. It's an amazing time for nerds. Wait, I'm getting off track. Amazing Digital Circus. Basically, though, I'm I'm gonna be quite honest. I'm nervous because I've seen a lot of opinions on it. I don't think I've seen a single one that has been positive. It's crazy because I have seen tons and tons of opinions and reviews of the Amazing Digital Circus leading up to episode 9, where it's just rants, raves, just amazingness. But then episode 9 came out in theaters and people have switched up massively. As for me, since I'm literally about to go watch episode 9, I'm going to give my thoughts and theories on what is about to go down or what could potentially go down. I will watch the episode and then immediately come back here and give my quote unquote final thoughts and opinions on the Amazing Digital Circus as a whole because I'm a pretty new fan. I started watching immediately before episode 8 because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This thing that's pretty popular is about to end. Relatively about to end. And I'm like, I at least want to jump in and see what's going on. So everything else is still pretty fresh on my mind to where I feel like I can give a proper opinion slash review. Following episode 8, one of the, not just episode 8, but episode 7. Following episode 7, one of the biggest things and theories I saw was I think people are calling it the Soma theory. I don't know why, but basically, everyone in the circus, their mind is still alive, but their body is dead. And I thought that actually made a lot of sense. And I felt like it was actually pretty confirmed at the beginning of episode 8, where Kane is talking to Bubble and he's like, I created a program that perfectly encapsulates their mind files. And I'm thinking, what? Why would he need to do that? Unless their bodies were dead, unless he's trying to capture their true essence. Because Kane isn't a game developer. Kane doesn't do that. And Kane stated he was the one who made it like that. He was the one who captured their mind files. So he's almost preserving them. And I felt like that made a lot of sense. So I think that's what's going on. Again, I don't know for sure, but still. As far as episode 9 goes, though, if it's anything like I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, then there's been one prevailing theory with that. Someone has to be left behind to save the others if their body is still alive. If their body is still alive, then basically someone has to be left behind in the circus to either maintain the circus or whatever it may be to push them out into the real world. Almost take over the role of Kane since Kane is no longer here. A lot of people felt like that would be Jax or Kinger to leave themselves behind, and some have theorized that it might be Pomni doing that, who might take over the ringleader role, but I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see Pomni be the Kane type ringleader, because honestly, I saw an animation of it today, but I'm curious what the fuck is about to happen here. With that being said, I'm about to go watch it. I will be back very soon. And yes, following this part, there will be plenty of spoilers. I have a lot of mixed feelings about episode 9, and I have no clue where to start. But I'm gonna say this. I went into episode 9 with heavy spoilers from lots of different places, and that heavily influenced my watch, which made it hard for me to actually enjoy the episode as is, at least on my own terms. I think that everything tied up pretty well. I think that all of the characters overall tied up pretty well, especially with Gangle being very hesitant and almost unable to mourn Jack's abstracting. Awesome, because he was horrible to her. Finding out that Ragatha and Jax were actually close at one point, that's pretty cool. I think that Kane being able to return, it was confusing. I don't understand how he returned. Maybe he was just stuck in the cloud or the mindscape or whatever you want to say. But I think him getting a redemption by finally accepting and taking out Abel was pretty damn cool. And him actually working together with the rest of the crew to find out who they truly are and then reorganize and remake the circus. That was cool too. This is me the morning after. I realized I never touched upon the actual ending of The Amazing Digital Circus because that reveal was insane by itself. Basically, most of the theories revolved around either the original bodies being dead or the bodies being out of commission for the time being because their consciousness is away from it. But that's not what Gooseworks went with. Instead, everything we've been seeing has played out parallel to the original bodies and consciousness doing their own thing. Basically, with the moment that Pomni put on her headset, she kept the original consciousness, but the headset scanned her brain and created a separate consciousness. It's weird, creating basically two different people almost. Because the original Pomni, I believe Abigail, because I'm not going to go back and rewatch it, she lived her own separate life, and Pomni is just Pomni now. She has her own life, her own friends. It's weird and awesome because it's not at all what I was expecting out of the ending. I think my biggest complaint about episode 9 is the Isn't She Lovely song choice for Jax fully abstracting. I didn't like that. It felt like, okay, why is this here? This is supposed to be a sad moment because he was actively crying and saying, I don't want to go, but you chose Isn't She Lovely? When that's a cheery song. You know what I mean? It's odd, to say the least. With that being said, though, I saw a lot of complaints about that same exact scene, and not for the reasons why I said, not about, well, it's exactly opposite to what it's supposed to be. No. They were complaining about that because apparently it was meant to be like Jax's backstory, who Jax is, and that song choice was meant to be a metaphor or an allegory for Jax being trans. If you're anything like me, you're probably wondering how transness connects to Jax's backstory at all, because honestly, I wouldn't have taken anything like that away from it if people didn't point it out at the beginning of me watching it. Basically, here's what people are saying. Jax said, I said some personal things to my mom. She berated me, and which was apparently him supposed to be coming out to his mom. She berated him for it, but was also accepting of him, which confused him, caused him to shove her, hurting her, and then he ran away. Ribbit understood what was going on in that and gave him the bow, asserting that she accepts him as he is, that he is trans. And then him throwing down the bow when Kaufmo approached was him basically saying, no, I can't show that to you because that is way too personal. You're going to reject me. You're going to use it against me. All that. I didn't take it as that. I honestly just took it as them being personal with each other, and Jax felt like he couldn't be personal because, well, his mom used it against him and so did his dad. Now, the personal thing and the specifics of it, that's not what matters to me. What matters to me is literally just you get to see the relationship between them. I think that people complaining about how so 9 ruined all of the Amazing Digital Circus just because it has a couple scenes has one potential meaning behind it. I think those people complaining, I think they're being ridiculous, honestly, because it can be taken in multiple different ways. So why are you saying it ruined it because one potential meaning hurts your feelings? In the end, I really enjoyed The Amazing Digital Circus. It really got me thinking. It caused me to read an amazing story. The I Have No Mouth and I'm a Scream by Harlan Ellison. I read all of it, and I even looked up an interpretation and explanation of it because I didn't understand some of it. But I really enjoyed this series. Do I think that episode 9 had some rough spots? Sure. But I think that overall, this was an amazing series, and you guys should try it out and check it out if you ever get a chance.